have some of the family members talk as well, please give me your attention.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all today for your attendance as we come out to celebrate the life of our dear beloved brother, uncle, co-worker, and friend, Daniel McGrath. Let's just take a moment of silence to reflect on his life. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
You all know that I'm Dan's sister. Our family is forever thankful and quite honestly overwhelmed by the amount of kindness that we've received from Dan's good friends and from his coworkers. We did call him Dan, but most of the time we called him Danny. Which may seem odd for some of you to hear. Nicole and Kim told me the other day, a few times I, in the third person, referred to him as Danny, and I noticed them look at each other and I was like, they told me that you called him Dan the Man or Dano or just Dan. But he was my little brother, so I usually called him Danny. I got away with a few things in the hospital. So many different doctors were coming in and introducing themselves. Didn't know who they were, and they would say, and who are you? I said, oh, I'm Maureen, I'm his baby sister. And Dan would smile and go. So I got away with it for a little while anyway. Dan was a special person. He was all about his family. He dedicated his life to two things: taking care of our mom, and then taking care of his work responsibilities. He really enjoyed going to work because it meant spending so much of his life with his long-term friends that are here today. I know that you all made him very happy. Growing up, we were a typical Irish Catholic family. Too many kids, not enough money. There were 7 children in our family, and we all went to Catholic school in the 1960s and the 1970s. Dan was right in the middle. There were 3 older and 3 younger. The nuns always sent notes home to my poor mother, complaining that Danny was a dreamer. Daydreaming all the time. He's always staring out the window. He's never paying attention. But then he'd always get 100 on his test. So my mother wrote back, so what's the problem? Stop complaining. Teach him something he doesn't know, and maybe he will pay attention. Just don't hit him. And I know so many of you enjoyed the photos that we're showing over there. There's the one that Dan and my brother Brian are wearing, the red choir boy outfits. And God help me, that's me in 7th grade, portraying the Blessed Mother. But they were both choir boys and altar boys. I'm sure that you will all agree that Dan had an exceptionally brilliant mind. He proved to be a chess whiz early on by watching our older brother, who played on the chess team in his high school at Seton Hall Prep. After watching him practice at home night after night, Danny finally asked, "Can I play?" So he said, okay. Well, his very first game, he beat his older brother. Oh, by the way, Danny was 8 at the time. He played chess most of the time in the winter and then played Little League baseball in the summer. There were no video games back then. We actually had to go out and play. He was an exceptional pitcher and nonchalantly threw several no-hitters. He'd smile, he'd shrug his shoulders, he'd walk off the pitcher's mound back to the dugout after striking out the other side. Just loved golf. He had the good fortune of being coached by Fred Hill, who eventually became the Hall of Fame baseball coach at Rutgers. Our brother Brian told me a funny story yesterday. Brian didn't play baseball. He's covering his face already. Brian didn't play baseball, but he would umpire the games. While he was umpiring one of Danny's games, Dan got a single, was standing on first. He and Brian were busy talking when Mr. Hill looked up and saw that his umpire was not paying attention. Well, he fired Brian on the spot and was banished from the park. Danny was way ahead of his time. Back when everyone had black and white television sets, very few people had a remote control. We had a remote control. His name was Dan. And it really, seriously, it was his job to sit at the left corner of the television, and it was Dan, put on Rapid Patrol. Dan, put on wrestling. Dan, put on hockey. Okay. Like, you know, he would just turn the channels for us. So, going back to chess, he continued to practice and develop his moves until he entered high school. Before the end of his freshman year, he was already the captain of the high school chess team, Essex Catholic, New Jersey. And he was already playing first board in competition against other schools. The faculty would challenge him, and they couldn't even beat him. So it became a challenge for them to find someone that could beat this freshman Dan. By junior year, he was the New Jersey State High School champion and began playing in regional and then national tournaments. In the mid-70s, Danny was invited to participate in a chess exhibition at Macy's department store in Newark. It may have been Bamberger's at the time, I'm not sure if anyone knows the area. And it was part of a book promotion for the Fischer-Spassky chess championships that garnered a lot of news because it was the US against Russia, the Cold War thing. He competed against 10 people at once, beating 9 of them and drawing 1. And he was blindfolded at the time.
Oh my gosh.
He was able to memorize the boards and go back. Now he's at board 7. He'd remember what the move was. It was amazing. Because of his reliable consistency, his world ranking increased, where then he was eligible to compete in the World Chess Open for several years. This one particular World Chess Open, Dan made it all the way down to the Final Four. And in that Final Four, in the semifinal, he defeated the Russian champion, advancing to the final match where he eventually lost against the Canadian champion. He did lose, but because of his accomplishments, the United States Chess Federation awarded him the rank of a certified national master, so he could never lose his master status. I remember telling him that if he could play golf or tennis like he did chess, he'd be a millionaire. There's no celebrity endorsements in chess, unfortunately. Dan was a wonderful son. He had to put chess on hold because life, dedication, and responsibilities got in the way. He was the most devoted son. He did everything he could to make our mom comfortable. Dan was her primary caretaker for well over 30 years. Danny was always mom's favorite. And I joked before about Olive Garden. My mother loved to go to Olive Garden. Danny always took her to Olive Garden. I said, I know he's sitting up there at Olive Garden right now on Heavenly Way and Destiny Boulevard asking for more salad and breadsticks. There's an old Irish saying that the sun rises and sets on you. That's what Danny was to our mom. He was the sun. And we were all okay with that because he deserved it. There's no way we, my brothers, my sister, could ever repay him for everything he did for our mom. Danny was the best uncle too. When our children were growing up, they learned quite a bit from him. He would treat his nephew Steve to New York Mets and New Jersey Devils hockey games. In later years, he joined my son Matt in Atlantic City, teaching him how to shoot craps and play poker. And I'm sure they're both going to tell you about that in a few minutes. I am grateful that in Dan's lifetime, he got to enjoy the Mets winning the World Series and the Devils winning a Stanley Cup. Because who knows when that'll ever happen. In closing, our family thanks you for being such a big part of Dan's life and for honoring him today. Everybody loved Danny, and he loved you all very much. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my nephew, Stephen, or Steve. If I call him Stevie, I get the look. And please notice what color tie he's wearing. Thank you very much.
So this is my Mets tie, so I'm sure he would appreciate that I was wearing the Mets tie today. So Mets baseball, a quick story. My first ever baseball game that he took me to was actually a Yankees game. I actually even got a home run ball during batting practice. And like an idiot, I became a Mets fan. I became a Mets fan. But they say being a Mets fan builds character. Danny was a character, and he had a lot of character. Whenever the mood needed it, whenever there was that quiet time, whenever the setting was appropriate, he would just have that one-liner, that quick wit. He would just come in there with something funny and just break the tension, and everybody would laugh and smile. He was a true character. And again, he had a lot of character. Growing up with my mom, my grandmother, he always made sure we had everything we needed. We were never for naught. He would always just make sure he took care of us and made sure we were comfortable and happy. So, but let's talk about fun things. Baseball, sports, hockey. So again, first baseball game was the Yankee game, but then in April of 1987, I go to a Mets game, and it's against the Cardinals in one of the nosebleeds of Shea Stadium, and I was hooked on the Mets forever since. Think of some of the Mets games we went to. We spent almost every Sunday going to the Mets games, and we would go, and before there was Ticketmaster online or calling in, we would actually go to the box office, look at the promotion schedule, and what's the cool promotion we want to get, and we would get the ticket for that game. And again, sitting up in the nosebleeds, but we always went and we had a great time. We were there for one game against the Cubs, where a Mets fan had a Cubs pennant, set it on fire, and was parading around the stadium. So that was fun to see. We were there one day when the Pirates won the division, and the Mets were eliminated. They put it on the board, congratulations Pirates, and the whole stadium booed. But we were there for that. And, we went to a lot of games together, and it was great memories. And and for hockey, it was Friday the 13th, 1989 was my first Devil game with him. We sat 4 rows from the ice, not knowing the seats were going to be that good, and they were $24 tickets. Wow. You can't even walk into the building for $24 nowadays. We went to a bunch of hockey games together. Again, thinking back some of the hockey moments, we at the old Brendan Byrne Arena, there was this one spot, we sat in the upper deck, and in the same spot, every person who walked up with their food would slip and fall in the same spot. We were sitting there cracking up, and we would just watch quietly and be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. And it was just fantastic. Just a lot of great nights at the hockey games. My first football game, it was a Jets-Bengals game. Again, just, got the opportunity to go to that. And, World League of American Football we went to. We had tickets for that. And, wrestling, one of my other uncles who had passed away won tickets, and we sat second row from the ring at Madison Square Garden. And we're actually on video for most of the night, and my father-in-law loves the video of, seeing us sitting there in the first row cheering on Ric Flair against, I think it was Hulk Hogan. So, just a lot of great memories. He did everything he could for us. Avid Mets fan, obviously, so Mickey Callaway getting fired yesterday was probably, he's smiling about that happening. As the Mets will probably blow it and pick the wrong manager for the next 10 years, because that's what we do. And I could have had a life of luxury for the Yankees, I wanted the character aspect of it. But Danny, thank you for everything, and I will always appreciate it and forever be grateful. I taught me how to play baseball, sporting events, and again, couldn't have asked for a better uncle and a better friend, and thank you all for being here, and that's all. Let's go Mets! So, Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. I'm usually not really good on groups like this, so Danny was, I can't explain how much more of a good man